What time is it? It is Blueclock Podtalk on Mondays at 7 p.m. I'm Travis Puryear, and I'm your host tonight, and I'm super excited to announce Season 1, Episode 1. I tell you guys what, if you all want to comment down in the comment section, let us know what you all like to hear on this show. But before we get started, if you're a business leader, a community leader, business owner, pastor, anything like that, reach out to us. We'd love to have you on the show. You can reach us at blueclock.podtalk@outlook.com. That's right, it's blueclock.podtalk@outlook.com, or just send us a private message. We are launching this thing here live on Facebook and YouTube. All shows are pre-recorded at Puryear Ranch Studios, and we are super excited to kick this thing off. I tell you what, my special co-host for this evening, y'all make a big round of applause, my good friend, my good buddy. I tell you what, super glad to have you here, Brian. Man, it's my operations manager with our business that we own, Two Brothers Garage, and we got a special topic that we're going to talk about tonight. So y'all welcome Brian down in the comment section. Brian, what's up, man? Let me kill this music. By the way, shout out to Travis Tritt with Blue Collar Man to represent this Blueclock Podtalk here as we kick things off. I'm going to go ahead and pull this music off here so we can get started. I tell you what, man, it's how's your week going, dude?
It was good. It was a long week. Friday was not as smooth as I would usually like, but it's the weekend now, so no complaints.
Yeah, man. So I tell you what, man, it's was pretty wild, pretty crazy. Me and Tara on Friday after work, after we got off, we went to this restaurant, which I won't say any names or anything yet.
Yeah.
First time I ate asparagus, if I'm saying that right.
Yes.
With steak. And, dude, after I got done eating asparagus today, and look, this may be too much information. This may be TMI for the audience, but, man, the next morning I woke up, my pee, dude.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, man!
It makes it smell just like it.
I mean, I don't know if it smells just like it, but if I had to compare it to anything, it's almost like when your dog makes a mess in the house.
Yep.
It kind of smells like dog pee, dude. It's kind of weird. I don't
Yeah. So a friend of mine always made it, and me and Jacinda would go over to a mutual friend's house. She would always cook asparagus. She's like, if you want your urine to smell like that, eat it. And it's like, no, man, I'm good.
Man, I don't know. I wonder, is there any other foods out there that makes your urine smell kind of funny?
I'm not sure. If there is, that's the only one that I know of for a fact.
Asparagus.
Yes.
Somebody told me, I think if you eat fruit or whatever, I don't know, that it changes your color sometimes, or maybe the smell of your urine too, but I don't know. That's probably too much information for the audience out here. But, man, I tell you what, before we kick off, the thing that I wanted to bring you on and talk about, we talked about it a little bit at the shop the other day, was just the automotive industry. And not only the automotive industry, but which we'll dive in a little deeper in just a minute, but, talking about fees and things like that. But my thing is just skilled labor in general. I think it's a bit, I think it's a bit underrated. I think that it's a dying field. A lot of people just aren't going into the skilled labor field anymore. It's so hard to find technicians or just people that are willing to work and put in decent time and decent labor and just a good skill, man, to have a good career at. And, when you've got this opportunity, I think that that's starting to occur, that there's such a high demand for people that, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess you can kind of, I don't want to say you can charge what you want or anything like that, but it's just a good career to dive into, some kind of type of skilled labor. It's just a dying field. I mean, a service industry, that let's look at it in that aspect. Service industry, is one of those things to where I just think it's dying, man. I really do. And what's your thoughts on that before I dive too deep into it?
So if we go to like mechanics in general or technicians, so I think where a lot of people have been turned off by it is people graduate high school, college may not be for them, it may be for them. Let's just go two different directions here. I did not go to college. I hopped right in a dealership.
Right.
So dealers will pay for your training. That's excellent, but I think you have to pay for all. Technicians or mechanics have to pay for their own tools, and people just think tools. You can just go to Walmart and get you a tool set. It's just not how life works when it comes to working on vehicles every day as a profession. Tools are thousands and thousands of dollars, and you have to put. You have to furnish all your own stuff. And just getting started trying to pay for all that. And so I didn't go to college, but there are people that do. So say you go to the college and then you graduate and you're trying to pay student loans back. Well, then you're trying to juggle this great big tool bill because most people fall victim and they get on one of the tool trucks. Not saying that there ain't a place for it. I think tool trucks have their place. But a lot of people just go in too hard and get in too deep at first.
Yeah.
So then they're struggling to pay their tool bill, and they're not getting paid enough, I don't think.
Right.
I think a lot of probably 95% shop technicians and mechanics probably underpaid. I mean, it's easy to argue that point. And I think a lot of people are just getting turned off by the industry because they just feel like they can't make it anymore. They can't provide for their family anymore because of everything it takes to get going.
So I guess my question, Brian, is, what do you think the fix is for that? What do you think it's? The automotive industry itself needs to pay better? Do they need to invest into their? Do they need to have an apprenticeship program? Do they need to, maybe supply tools for an apprentice until they get where they need to be? Say a 2-year term or a 5-year term or whatever it might be. That's my question is, so how do we fix that to where you're going in, let's say you don't know much as far as college-wise, or you haven't been to college, you haven't been to any kind of vocational school or anything like that, and you're a newcomer into the automotive industry or diesel industry, for instance, and you just have a passion for it, right? And you're like, man, I really want to try this out. Well, we're basically the industry, and when I say we, it's because we work in the automotive industry, but is it something where we're just kind of killing their dreams and passion from the get-go? Is there something that we can do better on a business term to where, hey, there's something that we can provide for these technicians that walk into the field that says, hey, you know what, we support you, whether that be a year, 2 years, whatever down the road, where we feel like they have proper enough training, and get them in here and actually empower them to be something great. What do you think the fix is for that?
I've seen a lot of great ideas on the internet. A lot of shops are building apprentice boxes. They'll do like $2,000 or $3,000 in a box, and basically I've seen it done two different ways. Some shops will, hey, take just a little portion out of your paycheck. It's not near the amount a tool truck is until it's paid off if you decide to stay. If you leave, you don't owe anything on it. But if you leave and want to pay the rest of it off and take it with you, you can. And then I've seen dealerships to where they're like, hey, we're providing the toolbox and tools. You don't have to bring anything. And right. I think that's a great idea. The only thing I hate about that for dealerships is, if the stuff isn't yours, you're not going to take care of it.
Right.
Or most people won't. I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people, if it's not their own stuff, they're not going to take care of it. And then I've seen dealerships they'll provide the toolboxes, and you just provide the tools to go in it. That the way you're not out $4,000 to $6,000 on a great big toolbox.
So I guess what you're kind of going after here is, if you're working for a dealership, for instance,
yes.
Let's go a little bit into our world a little bit as far as an independent shop. What do you think the fix might be for that? I mean, you think it's something that can happen in an independent shop as well? Do you think we bring them in and utilize whatever shop tools we may have to get them to where they need to be, and then invest in them to go that. And here's my thing: I think there's different places for different training for this. Um, I think what a lot of people fail to realize is in the automotive industries, there's several different categories of shops. You have your just oil and lube and tire and tech shops, right? Or your tire tech shops and things like that. Or you have a more advanced shop, kind of like where we're at, where we do kind of the major repairs, engine swaps, engine builds. I mean, all those different types of things. But we also do provide the oil changes and the tires and things like that. So, as far as a more in-depth shop, do you think it's just I don't know. I mean, what's a fix that maybe independent owners, independent shops that can get by? Do you think that independent shops are in this place to where you can take on an apprentice and work them under their wing, or what's your thoughts when it comes to that exactly?
So independent shops and everything I've been saying is based on like dealerships and like bigger organizations. Of course, independent shops, it's tough because budgets and things are um, a lot more limited than a multi-million dollar companies that own multiple dealerships.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for independent shops, I just think you have to find the diamond in the rough or the needle in the haystack per se.
Right.
And it's just tough because doing as fast paced as like our shop is and like the bigger advanced stuff, it's almost like we don't have the time or the energy to put forth in like an apprentice, I guess you could say.
Right. And when we say that too, it's nothing against these guys that are walking into the field as far as an advanced independent shop. I think it's just one of those things. You just need experience. You just need a little more under your belt. I think all technicians need to go through some kind of type of dealership or some kind of, or at least start there. Start somewhere that can invest in you to where you can gain your knowledge. You can kind of go under the wing and kind of learn in a good way. And now this is twofold when I say this, because we're getting more and more people that are so hungry to just hire anybody and everybody. And because they can just put a person there, right? Or someone that may just have I don't know, some kind of experience as a childhood or growing up, if we're looking at younger technicians or something like that. And then, once they go through a dealership or go through someone that's willing to invest the time in them, and then they feel like they have enough time and experience, then they try to go to these independent shops. Sometimes it can be a bad habit to break off of them too, or if they don't teach them properly. So I can see where it can be a little difficult to balance that,
Yeah.
But my biggest thing is, as we're touching on base on I think hiring in the skill field is a major concern right now. It's I think even in the medical field, I think in the automotive industry, I think electricians, plumbers, HVAC techs. I just got through talking to a buddy of mine, and he is just you can, there's as much work out there as you want, but the problem is nobody's willing to go after it, or nobody's willing to learn it. I hate to say it, but I feel like we're kind of living in this microwave type society of, I want it right now, and to work as little as possible as I can, as gain as much as possible, to work as little as possible as I can to get it. And life just isn't like that, man. I mean,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts?
So I'm a little in between.
Yeah.
Now I don't like the mentality of I should work 20 hours a week and have like everything my parents have or more. But I'm kind of against when I was growing up, you would hear people brag about, oh, I worked 80 or 90 hours this week. It's like, yeah, but how much time did you spend with your family? That's where it's like, I think it's extreme in either direction.
Yeah.
I think if you're providing for your family and you're working a solid 40 to 50 a week, I just think there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're getting your stuff done, you know.
Right.
But I think family time's very important, you know. A lot of people growing up, you know, friends, dads and stuff, you know, they just wasn't, you know, all they was doing was working. But that generation, that, you know, that older generation, they thrived on like just, you know, I worked longer than you this week and this and that. And I think the newer generation is just trying to get away from that,
Right.
because a lot of people on their deathbed, what do they say? They say, "Hey, I wish I wouldn't have worked so much. I wish I wouldn't have. I wish I would have spent more time with my family."
Yeah, if there's anything I can do to change that is to get more time with my family or have more time with my kids or more time with my spouse. So, yeah, absolutely, I can see that. Um, at the same time, I think perception's everything.
Yeah,
I think that as, you know, let's think about it like this. And I thought like this too at one point in time, you know, is you take an individual from the outside appearance, you know, judge a book by its cover, I guess. You know, you're a 18, 21-year-old kid, and then you're getting fresh out of school, or you're getting fresh out of, you know, or high school, whatever it may be, and instantly you think you need to be making $80,000 a year. Um, I think there needs to be experience before you can walk into that. Not saying that it ain't possible. I mean, it's possible. I mean,
yeah.
but go ahead.
And I ain't trying to backtrack,
Yeah.
but earlier when I said most technicians are underpaid, I meant like, say you started somewhere, dealership or shop, and you'd been there 5 to 10 years, and you're still not making enough. That's what I'm talking about,
Right.
when the industry's underpaid. I wasn't talking about a brand new person coming in. But anyways, I just wanted to make that statement real quick.
Yeah, and I don't mean to say that it's undeserving for an 18-year-old or 20-year-old male or female or whoever to not make that much money per year. You know, then you're kind of putting age with what you should make on a salary.
Yeah.
You know, that just sounds awful. My point of what I'm getting at is you're having individuals come into any type of industry, and then they got their hand out of give me, give me, give me, and then the example is, where's the experience? You know, and unfortunately, you've got to start somewhere to gain experience. And I think people, it's what do you see your self worth, right? What's your self worth? What value do you bring to the table as an individual to be worth X amount of dollars? You know, I didn't want to dive too much into business development or anything like that because, you know, one of my good friends, we're going to talk about these things on an upcoming episode. But one of my biggest things, man, is, you know, and I was about to tell you, and it doesn't slip my mind. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Hey, that Benadryl kicked in from the allergy, dude.
Yeah.
So one of my things is coming in and gaining the experience that you need to gain your value. We're talking about self-value, right? What's your self-value? What do you value yourself? You got to have experience to bring some kind of, what's your value to somebody? Oh, what I was going to say here is trading time for money. I think that's, if we can get out of the mindset of, hey, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to trade it for money, it's a terrible mindset. I think your experience and your self-worth and your value of what you bring to the table as an asset is what you're worth, your salary is worth. I think we had this conversation, Brian, whenever I hired you. It's like, what value can you bring to an industry or to a job or to a career or anything of that nature? What do you value? What is your self-value? What is your self-worth as an asset? You know, are you an asset yet, or are you just an employee?
Yeah.
And I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to dive too deep into assets and, you know, do you consider yourself an asset or an employee? And I think a lot of it has to do with experience. A lot of it has to do with what do you bring to the table for an X amount of individual. I mean, if you're 18 years old, and let's say you've been in the gaming world since you're 14 years old, you know, is it possible to make 80 grand a year? Absolutely. Is it possible to make maybe 100 grand a year? Sure. Maybe you've been doing this for, you know, 4 to 5 years, you know, and you're out of high school and you're like, hey man, I'm ready to make a career out of this thing. Let me show you what I'm worth and that I can bring to the table. Let me show you how many views I can get or how many, whatever it might be, you know. But I think what it is if we have the mindset of let's trade time for money, I think we're missing it a little bit as the American people, you know. And like I said, I don't want to dive too deep into that, but I just think what kind of value as an individual can you bring to a company or to yourself as a business owner or whatever? What, you know, for us, how do we factor in labor rate? Well, we got to be a little bit competitive with pricing in our market, but then also, what do we bring to the table? Why is our labor rate the highest in our county? You know, it's because the type of service, the type of value that we bring to the community. We bring this utmost high standard of value, and you know you should be paid your worth. You know, but you just got to know where that worth is. I think there's a fine line there. You know what I mean? So, what do you think? What's your thoughts on that? I don't want, like I said, I don't want to dive too much into business development, but I'm a little curious.
And I think a lot of people can't be honest about that either. I think most people think that they're here in the value they bring to somewhere when really they're just kind of a average or below average employee.
Right.
And I think the hardest pill to swallow is just to look in the mirror and say, am I really as good as I think I am?
Right.
Because I think a lot of people would have a hard time looking in the mirror.
Well, you know, it's like the old saying says is humility goes a long way, right? You know, and I think in anything that you do, I think in, you know, in the religious standpoint, I think in the career standpoint, I think as a business owner standpoint, it doesn't matter. A leader's a leader. You know, a business owner is a leader of some aspect. You know, your community leader. I think the best leadership mentality that a person can have is humility and honesty and integrity. I think when you can look in the mirror and be like, you know what? How can and this was in the religious world a little bit of how can I die to myself a little bit? How can I the best thing that I can put it as an advice, I remember playing in the music industry several years ago, and I remember talking to this older gentleman, and he said, the best thing that you can do is make you the worst person in the room that you surround yourself with, because then you don't have any other option but to grow, right? You know, even in the musician aspect, I think even in and we talked about this, I think, a little bit. I think in anything that you do, you know, you take the top 5 people in your life, you throw them in a blender, you blend them up, pour them out in a glass, and that the similarities of those people is kind of what make you who you are. Yeah. And so if you surround yourself by successful people, or if you surround yourself by I don't know, a very intelligent people or whatever that you may see fit, that gives you no option but to work and look in the mirror a little bit and say, you know what, how can I better from the knowledge that they have, or how can I better myself from that? So me, the people that I love to surround myself around is maybe people that seem or is more intelligent than I am, or you know, there's somewhere that can get you to that next level to where you're searching for in your life. But I don't know, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you should always surround yourself, you know, with killers. And what I mean by that is people who aren't complacent. Like, it's okay. Like, there's going to be a lot of people that are fine where they're at and they want to be there forever, or they're comfortable with living the life they're living for the rest of their life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then there's people who are just always they're never satisfied.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tell myself. I'll never be satisfied, because if I am, I would stop chasing what I want. And there's certain things in life that I want, and it's nothing that we need to discuss here, but I think you should always be chasing. You should always be learning something, getting better at what you do, just constantly working on yourself. And I feel like if you surround yourself with better people, or people that are more skilled than you, I mean, you have no choice.
Right.
You should never want to be the best person in the room or the best person. If you're constantly the big dog wherever you go, you're never going to grow more than what you are.
Yeah, and I have to say is one of the things that bothered me just a little bit is where we're talking about perception a little bit of how people perceive you or the outward image that they may see you for. And then they want to constantly, I guess, compare and contrast their lives compared to this individual that they see.
Yeah.
My thing is I hear a lot of people, say, dude, that guy's so successful. He's such and such and such and such and such and such. But what's success? And my thing is to me, success is the trophy of that individual of all the trials and tribulations that they've been through. Everybody's success is completely different than one another's. My success is going to be different than what your success looks like. The things and that I'm striving for in life are going to be different than what you're striving for in life. Now, there may be some kind of similarities there to where we may see some things eye to eye, but define success. It's one of those things. I think success is the trophy of an individual or a team or a husband and wife or a family or whoever has put in the hard work, put in the trials and tribulations, and says, you know what, this is my trophy for all of the hard work that we've done. And I think if we have a better mindset of that, of instead of jealousy, instead of someone wishing they had what you have, they're coveting the other neighbor's things or whatever it may be. I think you look at it and you praise them in your corner. Nothing grinds my gears more than someone to just Debbie down on someone that because their life may look more successful than theirs and whatever they perceive success to may be to them. Yeah. And man, I don't know. I just think that's a trophy for that individual or for that team or for whatever it is. It's no different than a football team. It's no different than a basketball team. They get a trophy at the end of the season. They're the number one seed in the season. They won the championship. They did A through Z. Well, that trophy is a representation of, hey, we went, we strived hard for this. We went and we, it's not a participation trophy. Everybody gets one and hands it out to them. It's you get a trophy, and I think we can look at our success the same way as, hey, this is all the hard work, all the years of grinding, all of whatever that is, and that's our trophy of it. I mean,
I think a lot more people would be happier if they would just have gratitude, just be grateful for what they got. There's a picture. There's a picture that goes around on the Facebook and the internet all the time, and it's one of my favorite pictures. I want to get it framed and hang it up in my garage or something. But there's a guy. He's got like a nice Ferrari. They're all sitting at the red light. This guy's got a Ferrari. Well, the guy next to him has like a really nice car, but it's not as nice as this Ferrari. The guy's looking at the Ferrari saying, man, I wish I had the Ferrari.
right.
Well, the guy next to the Mustang, he's in a really beat up car. He says, man, I really wish I had this Mustang. And then the guy next to the Mustang is on a bicycle. And he said, man, or no, the guy next to the kind of beat up car is on a bicycle. And he says, man, I just wish I had a car so I didn't have to pedal anymore. And then the last part of it is guy's in a wheelchair, and he says, man, I just wish I could walk. And it's like, if you think about it like that every day, like that's what people need to do. They need to be grateful for just what they have.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with more of what you're saying on that. You have that. It's one of those things that I think we forget sometimes of what we have. I think it's so easy to get stuck in our day-to-day lives of, man, can you believe this happened? I mean, think about it. I mean, the world nowadays, man, I think one negative thing to 100 good things.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is we people love it. People love to complain. People love to nag. People love to just talk
Yeah.
about one another, man. And well, not only that. I mean, it's you're walking into this life, and sometimes you just forget. I think I think even living with breath in your lungs is something to be grateful for. I mean,
Yeah.
another day to be here, to wake up, to smell the fresh air, to be with your family or be with whoever or whatever, is I think sometimes we lose sight of that because
Yeah.
we're always wanting the next best thing, maybe.
And
You
there's
know?
nothing wrong there's nothing wrong with wanting to strive for more and to be
No.
chasing more, but you also need to enjoy where you're at this given point too in life.
Yeah. If I had an example of something that I could say that that's similar to that is when I was touring a lot, right? I was playing a lot of music. This is kind of in between the whole automotive industry thing, the diesel industry thing, but we would go on tour when we first started booking a tour. One of the things is we would go, we'd set up, and we get to whatever show that we had booked that evening. Let's say if it's a local show or whatever it may be, it was like you hurried up, you wanted to get done for that next thing, that next big show, that next whatever. And man, if I can go back and change anything when I was touring and playing music and doing anything like that, was just soak it up a little longer. Be grateful that we were there in that current spot because look now, man, I don't have it. It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone. And it was not that I regret anything, not that I would go back and live that life, but just to enjoy it a little more instead of like, all right, man, that was a great show. Let's go on. Let's see if we can get this next one. I think it's like what we were saying earlier. I think there's a fine line. There's a fine balance there of being grateful and striving for that better opportunity. I think gratitude and humility works hand in hand right there. But we kind of got a little bit sidetracked on that. I mean, we're diving into more of a
Yeah.
I don't know, day-to-day kind of motivation, business life thing. But, yeah, what do you got?
Another thing that I wanted to mention about earlier, we started this off about why are people not getting into the skilled labor force these days, right? Whether it's being a mechanic, a plumber, heating and evac,
Right.
all that. I think it's the social media era, right? I think kids are coming up, they're seeing some random person saying 2 or 3 funny words on a TikTok and it going viral and they're millionaires overnight. Or they're seeing people film themselves and go on YouTube and they're making millions of dollars a year in sponsorships and all this other stuff. I think people's getting away from that, or people streaming gaming. I mean, people's making money streaming games online.
Right.
People are watching, they're donating money like they love it. Kids are watching other kids play with toys and games on YouTube instead of playing with their own. It's very bizarre to me, but I think that's why people are getting away from it. I think people have just lost interest in it because they would rather say, hey, let's sit here and do a video until it goes viral, and then we won't have to worry about nothing again.
Right.
But unfortunately, I think the video that goes viral is few and far in between. But it seems like it's happening a little more often.
Right.
I think that could be a big reason too of why people has lost sight in just wanting to chase a skilled labor or a manual labor.
You think the digital world may be a little bit easier avenue to dive into? Maybe, I don't want to say easier. I mean, that's kind of misconcept or misleading. I'd say probably less laborious.
Yeah.
For the bang for the buck. But I wonder what the statistic is on that of how successful or how long does it take to be successful as an influencer, right? Is that what we're looking at? Yeah. So what
And times are changing too. So
yeah.
I graduated high school in 2009. So in 2009, it was weird if you didn't go to college. Like, because me coming up in school, and I mean, that's not been that long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it has, but it's not been that long ago. 15, 16 years maybe?
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, when I was coming up through school, people would be like, hey, you got to go to college. If you don't go to college, like, that's bad. Like, you have to go to college to be successful. So when I started the work field, like, right out of school, it was kind of frowned upon a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, now it's totally different. Now it's like, oh, you don't need to go to college. You need to find a skilled labor. And it's like, where was that when I was graduating high school?
Right.
And I think because now they're like saying the opposite. So I think really, at the end of the day, I think society, we all don't really know what we're doing. They're just saying stuff in hopes to steer one group this way and one group this way. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I was in a men's meeting this morning, and we had a breakfast meeting at the church that I go to, and there was two men there that they were talking about to where they took media and just basically got rid of media out of their life altogether. One of the things that this one gentleman had said and mentioned was, think about, and I think we're old enough too, Brian, to where we can probably remember when we were kids, and we didn't have that media source right at our fingertips. I think I remember when smartphones come out.
Yeah.
That might attest to how old we might be, but I mean, we're not even that old yet. But one of the things is he said, it's no different than we heard about the shooting, right, that had happened. He was like, man, growing up, or even, he said, man, even in the 70s or 80s, he says, we wouldn't have heard about that until, a day or two later when the news released it.
Yeah, or it come out in the local newspaper.
Yeah, that's what he was saying too. It reached their doorstep, and then that's when they would read about it. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know, right? And so I think we've got to this place, man, to where it's so easy to allow the media, not saying that they're wrong, not saying that everything is dishonest that they put out there, but we're allowing certain medias to kind of lead us to where we need to be and how we need to live our lives, and fear tactics and all different kinds of things and we start worrying about things that we don't even need to worry about because, man, I mean, it's because it's right there. It's easy. This right here, it's real easy to pick this up. It's at your fingertips. The media is. I mean, you can find it's a mini computer in your hand, man. And so I can understand why you wouldn't want to have media access, a little bit of, it's twofold. A little bit, kind of like what we've been talking about. It's great. It's a wonderful thing to have. It's convenient. But can it lead our lives? Can it become, let me put it this way, and this might be getting a little too deep into religion, but can it be our God? I mean, sometimes we allow it to be. I see, and I hate to say it, but there are so many people that I hear, or that I've talked to before. The first thing they do when they wake up in the morning, they roll over on their nightstand and they say, hey, look, here's my phone. I just picked it up. And they're already looking at Facebook or social media or whatever that is. And it's like, man, if it's going to be like that, what's the sense in even having it? Yeah. Now, again, twofold, because in an emergency aspect or reaching someone at a convenient phone call or whatever. There's so many great, we can name so many positives to it too.
It's like anything. There can be it can be good or bad. There can be too much of either, right, depending on how you use it.
Balance. Yeah. I think that's going to be the word for the night. Balance, man. Yeah. I mean, it's finding the balance in between things of what's too much and what is enough. I don't know. I think that's really up to you and your life and what that looks like. But again, we're kind of getting a little deviated into
just for fun.
A little bug flying around there.
Let's go. Let's just see what our daily screen time is.
Okay.
So I got mine pulled up.
So how do you do that? See, that goes
So,
to show how much I've even
all right,
used it.
so go to settings.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check this out. We're adding to her screen time right now.
Yeah. So you go to settings.
Oh, screen time. Look at that. I didn't even know you could do that.
You can. So what is your daily average that you're on the phone on your cell phone?
Let me see.
I'll be honest with you. I'm disappointed in mine because I had mine down. I'll tell you what it is and what I had it down to, and you can definitely tell I've been on my phone more than I like.
So do we go to app and website activity? Is that where I'm going?
No, you'll go to screen time.
So if you see here, it says screen time
Yep,
on.
click it.
Click that.
Yep.
Now where do I go on mine?
See, mine's different. Mine shows. This.
Oh, mine don't. Oh, it's see all web. Yeah, so I need to go to the app and website activity. Oh, mine wasn't turned on. No.
Really?
Yeah, so it's not going to show me. See how it says, as you use your iPhone, screen time will be reported here. So mine wasn't turned on, so I can't tell you what. So we'll base it off yours. What do you have?
So mine, and I'm disappointed in mine because I had right after my son was born, I got mine down to about 45 to 50 minutes a day.
Right.
Mine is 3 hours and 23 minutes a day average, and that's a lot, man.
Per day.
Yeah, and I wish you could see, like, I wish it had a pie chart to where you could see. Yeah, so let's see here. Yeah, and then it'll even like break it down and like show what all you look at.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Dude,
like
I might have to.
So like today, I've been on my phone 2 hours and 34 minutes.
Really?
Yep. So YouTube, and Facebook and Snapchat, and then it shows like everything else. It even breaks it down to what all you've been on.
Dude. So hang on. So now I'm adding to screen time right now, but I'm trying to do a screencast here because I want to show this to people while we're talking while we're on this.
And it even shows how many times you've picked up your phone. I've picked my phone up 101 times today.
That's crazy.
First pickup it was at 6:30 a.m. and that is when I got up.
So guys that have iPhones or a phone that can do this, go to your if you don't know. Like me, because I didn't know you could do that. You can go to your settings, go to screen time where it says that, and if it's not on, turn it on. Because I want to show you something here real quick. I'm going to pull up my screencast here on my phone, and I'm going to pull out my calculator. So this is what I'm going to do. So you said you're averaging about 3 hours a day right now? So you do 3 hours a day, right, times 7 days a week. Dude, that's 21 hours.
Almost a whole day that you're just sitting
in
on
a
your
week.
phone.
So if you add it all up, I mean, that's time that you're getting away or you're giving, your family doesn't have or your whatever.
And I'm glad you turned it on because now you'll be able to track it. So me and my wife, shout out to her. Me and her, we'll kind of nag
Brownie
at each
points.
other. Yeah, we'll kind of nag at each other. She'll be like, "You're on your phone too much," and I'm like, "Well, let's compare screen times." And 99% of the time, hers is always higher than mine. But I think if we compared them tonight, I think I might have her beat. I think she would never let me hear the end of it.
I don't know, Jacinda. So if you're going to watch this episode and you don't hear us talk about it anymore, you'll have to compare with Brian after you watch this to see whose screen time is better.
Yeah, because couples get into silly like arguments, and you're always on your phone, and it's like, well, it's like let's compare screen times then, and then it's just a good way to do it for if your wife is nagging you or whatever, just compare screen times and let's see who really is on their phone, But man, mine's up majorly, which is a disappointment for me because I've been doing a lot of reading lately, or just hanging out with my dog or my son or my wife. I'd rather be doing stuff like that than just scrolling the same old TikToks and Facebook every night.
I know, man, but dude, that's wild. 21 hours of screen time. I'm a little curious of what mine would be
Yeah, I am too.
because, I'm on my phone quite a bit, especially for work.
I know.
Oh, man, Tara would probably kill me if she would know. I mean, but, I'm going to check on her phone too. I want to show her how to do that tonight
Yeah,
when we get done with this.
I think it's interesting, and it kind of keeps me in check because when mine gets up to that 3 hour mark, I like to dwindle it back down to like that hour, but and it don't lie to you too. So like if you do say, oh well, it was all for work, but it'll show you like what app you were on. It's like, was it really work though?
Yeah.
So it's cool to just it's something you have to be honest with yourself about because it don't lie.
Well, that's great. So it'll actually break down what website, what you're spending your time on, all of that.
Yeah.
If it's an app, if it's a website, if it's whatever it may be. So it'll actually break it down.
Yeah. So right there.
Wow,
YouTube,
dude.
Facebook, Safari, message. That's how many times you pick the phone up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it'll literally tell you how many minutes you spent on each app.
Ooh, this might not be good, bro.
So that's why it's like, for me, I could easily say, oh, well, I have to use my phone like, I use my calculator on my phone a lot at work to like do math and stuff.
But won't it pull it up on the calculator app if that's the case?
Exactly. So it's like you can't lie to yourself to make yourself feel better.
Well, I mean, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you just taught me something new. So now, the next little men's meeting I get together with, or whoever I have a meeting with next time, I'm gonna bring this up, especially when we're talking about just more giving your spouse or more home life or anything like that. And it's like, what are you giving more of, your phone, or are you giving more of your or more time to your spouse? Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
Because I think it's easy to fall into the trap of, I've worked all day, I don't feel like doing nothing. Whether you're doing physical labor or you're doing like a desk job, you can be mentally tired or physically tired. So it's easy when you get home to just plop down and just scroll the phone or click the TV on and just kind of, not really connect with your spouse or with your kids or, if you have animals, really pay attention and love on them. I think it's easy just to fall in that trap of just sitting there and getting glued to that.
That's crazy, man. That's wild. So I mean, our listeners that are listening in right now, I want to challenge them to do that if they haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
Don't create an argument with you and your spouse or nothing like that. But just it's good to look at it and be like, where is our time going?
And for those that don't care to share, comment down below and just what's your daily average? If you don't mind sharing it with us and everybody else, put it down in the comments. I'd be curious.
Yeah, man, because I'm curious now. You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to see what mine and Tara's is. After we, spend a week or something with that on. That's wild, man. I didn't know you could do that. Yeah. So it lets you know what you need to fix or what kind of time you need to spend or eliminate from your phone or whatever.
And I feel like for Tara, for instance, I feel like it might almost be unfair to her because, like, when we're out and about, I kind of see Waylon with her phone sometimes, like playing games or watching something. So it's like, how do you truly know, like, was it you on YouTube or was it Waylon? Then they could go into that was just the kids, So it's tough,
Yeah, it Yeah, you got 12 hours of screen time. Wait a minute, what? You got 9-point-something hours of YouTube,
we was at a restaurant earlier, and my son started crying a little bit. And it's like, hold up, brother. Hey, bear, stick it right in front of him so my YouTube's playing, even though it's not me watching.
Right.
But, it's just something to calm, your child down while you're out somewhere.
So I guess that's another question for us, too, that we can almost walk into. Can we be better parents and get rid of electronic devices and come up with some other means and method? I think that's an easy button for us, too, don't you think, as far as like YouTube or something like that? I don't know. Sometimes, especially if you're around the older generation,
Yeah.
you get those weird looks when you're sitting in the restaurant like, what are you doing right now with your
I
phone?
think there can be too much of it.
Yeah.
But like with the baby, you don't know what they want. But I'm telling you, dude, I'm like against shove a tablet in your kid's face just to get them to chill out. Like, it's not, I heard this TikTok the other day. This guy said, his grandson come in and said, I'm bored. And he said, it's not my problem.
Right.
Like, go hit a stick on a tree. Like, go be creative. Like, find your own way to entertain yourself. And I love that. But I'm telling you, dude, when they can't tell you what they want, this hay bear, and guys, I don't know if you've all have checked it out or not, but this hay bear is magical. Like, I don't know how it works. This bear pops up with this fruit. They're dancing across the stream, and my baby, he will be in the worst mood, and he'll just go from to, and he's pumped. And I don't know what kind of sorcery it is, but man, it works, and it's hard not to push that easy button sometimes.
Are you getting paid by Hey Bear to say that?
No.
Is that what you're doing?
Hey, Bear, I ain't gonna lie to you. If you're watching and you want to sponsor your boy, go ahead, please.
So, Hey Bear, if you got a newborn kid, anywhere from what, zero to 1 year old?
Yes,
yeah,
man, it's magical. Magical.
Hey Bear, we're looking for a sponsorship, so holler at blueclock.podtalk@outlook.com.
Or a brainless vlog at yahoo.com.
There you go, man. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, come to think of that, yeah, Brian has his own vlog. You can go ahead and throw it out there, man. Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah, man, it's a Brian Lewis vlog. So I've been vlogging since probably 2016ish. I'm hit or miss on it. Right now, lately, I've been lazy with it. But I will get on a roll to where I put out a video like once a week. But man, I've just been uninspired by it lately. I love doing it. And I have a lot of companies that send me free stuff, or they'll pay me to advertise their products, and I do get a check from YouTube, which is great.
Right.
I wish I could push it more, but I think since I started with you, I've been really passionate about what I'm doing at Two Brothers Garage. So
Right.
the YouTube just kind of took a back seat while I just focus on my career there, because I'm really passionate about what we're doing at Two Brothers, and
Right.
I just feel like all my time and energy in that aspect is going toward that, and there's nothing wrong with that. The YouTube, I can pick it back up any time, but I just telling you guys, if y'all are local to Litchfield, need anything, stop by and see us. I mean, it's a group of guys that are truly passionate about what we do. We want to help you out, and we want to do it right. And I think going back to the automotive field, there ain't a lot of people that are doing it that are just super passionate about it anymore.
Oh, I agree.
I think a lot of people are getting in it because, they've seen like Fast and the Furious, or they've seen like kids on YouTube wrench, and they think it's cool, and then they get in it, and it's not truly something they like to do. But I feel like, if I tell somebody I work on cars for a living, like, that's cool, and I'll fit in with these groups.
Right.
I just feel like a lot of people aren't being true to themselves, and it's like, do you really like this, or are you just doing it because you think it's going to make you look cool? And I think people are falling into that trap too.
I do too. Or if you get into this situation to where their family for multiple generations have been in the automotive industry or a skilled industry or whatever it might be, and they think that's the path they need to take too. Look, if I can say anything, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, find what you're passionate about. And if you don't know what that is, I mean, really, really dive in deep. If it's a talent, if it's whatever it may be, Brian, I mean, just your passion and what you love, dude, you can put anything you put your mind to. Here's what happens is you go into this field or you go into your job, and don't get me wrong, you've got to start somewhere, right? You probably have to work a fast food job, or you have to work a dead-end job that you might not like just because you can't make ends meet or something for the time being. Don't spend your whole life doing that.
Right.
The best thing that you can do is make the jump. When you give yourself no other option but that plan A, man, it's successful and it's rewarding and it's your passion, man. Why not go after something you love? You know, that's going to be one of the things that I tell my kids, man, is as they get older. Look, just because Dad's got an automotive shop, and it's named after his two sons, you know, and that's what Two Brothers is named after. You know, gosh, man, Brian, we tell so many people what the name is meant for,
the brother. I tell a lot of people just because I get tired of explaining, they'll be like, "Oh, you look just like Travis. Are you his older brother?" Yes, sir, I am. Like, you get so tired of explaining it that you just go along with it sometimes.
Yeah. But what I'm getting after is, you know, even though that it's named after them, or in hopes of a great future for them, it's a platform for them to get a hold of to do that. You know, I just want to break generational curses because I come from poverty, man, from absolutely nothing. I come from living out my car. I don't want my sons to have to deal with that. At the same time, they're going to earn it if that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not going to shove it down their necks if they don't want to. If they come to me and be like, "Dad, look, this was your passion. I really don't like it, man. I'd rather be a doctor or I'd rather be whatever." Then let me help you get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let me help you get there, because if you're not passionate about the field that we're working in or whatever work that you're doing or your life in general, it's a miserable life, man, and you don't want that.
So a lot of you are probably saying, "Well, Brian, Travis, how do I know if what I'm doing I'm passionate about?" I didn't, and listen, I'm very passionate about the automotive world. I've spent a long time in it. I branched off of it for the past 2 years before I started at Two Brothers Garage, but I've been in the automotive world since I graduated high school.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, you will know if you're passionate about your job or not if at the end of the day it's time to go home, it's time to close up and go home for the day. If you feel like you've only been there for 2 or 3 hours, you're passionate. Like, you love being there. And I know, and I just discovered this feeling when I started with you. I've truly never been as passionate. I've never truly been as passionate as I am now in the automotive field since I've started Two Brothers Garage. I love what we do there. It's literally such a good vibe. When you can surround yourself with the right people and the right career for you, man, you never feel like you're working a day in your life. Now, are there going to be some off days and hard days? Absolutely. I had one yesterday. But guys, if you're at a job and you're like just in the worst mood, or you start getting sick at your stomach the night before you have to go in. So let's say you're off Saturday, Sunday. If Sunday night you start getting sick to your stomach and dread going in, guys, you're not doing the right thing. You're not doing what you're passionate about. Or if you look at the clock and you're like, "Man, it's only 10 a.m., it feels like it's 4 or 5 in the afternoon," guys, go find something else to do. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. And, you know, I'll tell you what, this is going to end up being more of a business side of things.
Yeah.
Which that's okay. You know, we were going to talk about misconception of the automotive industry, but that's all right, though. I mean, I love where we're going with this tonight. But my biggest thing, I think culture's everything.
It is.
You know, I think, Brian, if you had to say anything, do people quit their sometimes, you know, and when I say this is a lot of times people already know what they're making. People already know what their pay is. People already know what the job duty is. People already know, you know, when they got hired onto that job, they knew all aspects, incentives, whatever it may be. They knew whatever type of disciplinary, how they handle things. You know, it may be very just a little bit different, but man, I really, truly feel that people don't leave their jobs because of their pay, or they don't leave their jobs because of they don't like what they're doing. I think people leave their jobs because they have a poor leader. I mean,
poor leaders putting up with terrible employees, or everybody gets rewarded the same, no matter how much effort they put in. Kind of like a participation trophy award. Yeah. Like, this guy that don't put near the effort you do gets the same reward as you do. It's just not good. Or them putting up with terrible employees, like, you know, this guy's not putting out or not performing like he should, but they kind of put up with it. That leaders not standing behind you, that's what people quit. They don't quit because of the money. Now, what I will say is they quit when the money, whenever someone says, "Oh, we're going to get you to here," and they lie to you about the money, I think that's when people quit about money.
Well, yeah, because then it's false pretenses. Again, it's not about the money.
Right.
It's about the integrity and honesty of the leader. If you have a boss or you have an owner or you have whatever, your supervisor that's above you and says, hey, this is what we're going to do for you. And then when it comes, when you hit X factor, whatever, this is the accomplishment. From your accomplishments, this is what we're going to give you. And then when you hit those accomplishments and you hit those goals, and you don't receive that incentive that they promised you, again, I don't think it's about the money. I think it's about the leader being not upholding their end of the deal in a sense. You know, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems grimy to me a little bit.
Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of these bigger companies, like I said, I'm not going to say names, but a lot of these dealerships, look around, because if there's like a board and if there's a corporate and or the person who started it's getting ready to retire, and like their son or their son-in-law is getting ready to take over, it's gonna be different, man. It's just not gonna be the same company. And I think a lot of people quit that too, because people come in and just start changing stuff, and then it's not the way they used to. And a lot of time, it's not a change for the better either.
Well, the way that I see it too, Brian, is if you sell out the company. For an example, I talked to a gentleman not long ago. He was telling me about how he had just recently purchased this independent business, and now the owner is no longer a part of the business, and he's the new owner, the new sole person of that. His principles and foundations are going to be way different than what the original owner was. So you're going to lose the passion and the drive of what it was founded for in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, and so now, granted, there is times to where, you know, they may be down on their luck or something like that, and then an investor comes in and they say, hey, well, I want to invest in your company or invest in your business or whatever it may be, but I still want you to have X amount of royalties off of it, and you still run the company. I think those are good situations because the principles and values of things kind of still stand and take place.
Yeah, and it's not all bad. And I think a lot of times people will quit as well. Hang on, we're going to cut this because I've lost my track of thought here.
It's all good. We can pick back up on it.
Yeah.
We can dive back into it. Just having a little bit of a brain fart. Yeah, it'll come back to you in a minute though. But you know, we can kind of tailor back to where we need to go here a little bit, instead of diving so much into the business aspect and leadership. But because I think there's going to be a time and place for an episode for that. I think it's going to be great. But tailoring back to misconception of the automotive industry, I want to talk about the times where the thing that kind of irks my nerves the most, and being a business owner, you know, and this is a little bit of background information with me. A lot of people may not know. There's a lot of people perceive what we have or what we do or whatever it may be for who we are as an individual. But in all reality, I don't come from money. I don't come from anything. Matter of fact, I come from living out of my car, you know, when I was 17 years old, somewhere right around there, that age. And before that, being raised in a childhood of pretty well poverty is what you could call it. I mean, you could see daylight through some of the exterior walls. And did my parents do everything they could to have the best life possible for our kids? Absolutely. I really, truly believe that they do. Sometimes they're just down on their luck, you know. But coming from that and leading into wouldn't even say things that we have or anything like that. See, I'm like you now. I'm having a brain fart, Brian. Oh my goodness, gracious. Um, oh yeah. So we're going back into the misconception of the automotive industry here. And what I was getting to, my point of coming from nothing is, we have so many things to where we dive in and we invest in so much time and so much experience and so much tools and knowledge and all of these different types of things, to where a person comes in and they feel like that they don't need to pay for a diagnostic fee in their field. They don't want to pay you. And what I mean by that is they don't want to pay you to tell you what's wrong with their vehicle in our industry. I think part of it is I don't know what it is exactly. If you go to a doctor, they're going to charge you.
You have a copay. You have just a fee of talking to the doctor. Like, I think if you look on your statements, it'll literally say, like, speaking with doctor, like $90-something just to talk to somebody for 15 minutes. It's on there. Look at your itemized statements. Dentist, anything like that, you're paying for that. Like, you're paying for them to tell you what's wrong.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just think it's bizarre that, they'll just stop by and be like, oh, can't you just scan my car real quick? And it's like, that's not what we do here. Like, if you just want your car scanned real quick, go to the parts store down the road. And it's not even being rude, but there's just to scan the car and then a true diagnostics. And I think a lot of people too, they kind of get turned off by the quality we put out, to where it's like, hey, if you want that, you're going to go somewhere else, because when we do it here, we go above and beyond, and we do like a full diagnostics. We're not just going to scan the code for you.
Well, I'm going to take a short break here, Brian, because Mother Nature has kind of hit itself. But right when we come back, I want to talk about this. All right, Brian. Well, we're back from our little break. Mother Nature kind of took its course, and I had to walk outside for a minute to use the restroom. But we were talking about the diagnostic fees, right?
Yes.
And so here's my thing. It's like what we were before we left out. You're going to pay that electrician. You're going to pay. Here's an example. I just had an HVAC guy come to my house. And I'm pretty sure, I think his service fee is like $75, $80, something like that. There's still a fee for them to tell you what's wrong or what's going on. It's you'll go to a doctor, they'll have their fee. You'll go to a dentist, they'll have their fee. You'll go to whatever, you name it. There's a fee there. If there's any kind of service industry, there is some type of service industry fee that you have that tells you what's wrong with you, with your house, with your electric, with your whatever it may be, fill in the blank. But for some reason, people don't want to pay the fee to tell them what's wrong with their car, to where they can make it back and forth from A to Z every day. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, man?
I feel like people almost put us in the same category as, like, the guys that reseal your driveway, or you'll get a guy out, they'll be like, oh, free estimates. So it's like they'll come out and tell you how much this concrete pad will cost.
Yeah.
Or they'll tell you how much this building will be to build at this spot. Or they'll tell you how much it is to reseal your driveway. Or how much like I had a guy come out, I had a couple guys come out to quote cutting a tree down for me.
Right.
And those guys do give free estimates. So there are skilled laborers that, hey, you can get a free estimate. And for some weird reason, they try to tie the automotive industry in with those free estimates. And, man, we're just not in that. We're almost like a doctor for cars.
Yeah, well, and I'm gonna touch base a little bit on that too. So I think the individual of, say, a tree, your tree estimate that you had, I truly believe that they come out and it's, hey, I'm giving you this free estimate in hopes that they get the job. But when they give you that estimate, I'm pretty darn sure that they have already factored in them coming out in that estimate, in hopes that they get the job, to make up the difference for them to come out.
Right.
There's people that do that, but then there's also people like ourselves to where we're telling you specifically what's wrong with that, or what's wrong with your vehicle, or what's wrong with whatever. My thing is the reason why we started doing that is, my time costs money. The knowledge that we have soaked in for years and years of knowledge that we had to acquire to tell them what's wrong with their vehicle or tell them what's wrong with their equipment, whatever it may be. We have that to factor in. We have insurance. We have light bills. We have all these different costs that cost us money, right?
Yeah.
And then the customer comes in, expects to use our time and our knowledge.
Or scan tools.
Yeah, our tools, the thousands of dollars that I pay in yearly fees of scan tool diagnostic and everything else, that people, and we'll walk in and talk. I know where you're getting at. I know what you're about to say. But, all of this, and then they go and they take their vehicle to a brother or a cousin or to an uncle or to whoever, and then they fix it for them at a cheaper rate, even though that you were the one that spent all of the time and resources to tell them what was wrong with their vehicle. To me, I mean, it's a kind of a slap in the face to say, oh, hey, appreciate it, thank you, but no thank you, kind of thing. And so it's things like that where I just think it, if your value is important to that person, I think that you can put a monetary means on that value for that customer, because it's a field of, like I said, the knowledge, the time, they're coming to you for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And we all got to eat, man.
Yep.
We all got to eat, but dive into. I seen whenever I was talking about the scan tools and stuff, you kind of.
So two things people think about scan tools. They think that once you buy them, they're free, like you get everything for free.
God, I wish.
Or they think that you can plug the scan tool in and it tells you exactly what is wrong with the car. Folks, if you believe that, it's false. A scan tool, computer, whatever you want to call it, when you plug it in, it does not tell you what's wrong with the car. Now, does it pinpoint you in a good direction to start?
Right.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest misconception.
It is, and I'm glad we finally got to an actual misconception of the automotive industry, because people really well, don't your computer just tell you what to do? And it's like, no, actually it doesn't.
No, that's it. So just to enlighten some folks, man, just a little bit, is you have a scan tool, and like our shop, we have multiple of them because we have multiple employees. So that scan tool costs you money. I think one of ours cost us almost like $8,000.
Yes.
And they think, oh, well, yeah, that's a tool. You eventually pay it off. Well, no. You also nowadays have a couple different security gateway fees that you got to pay yearly on that. You also have $1,200 to $2,000 worth of scan tool updates, because we then have to be and stay updated to each year that comes out. And if you don't, and you get a newer style vehicle that comes in, you can no longer scan that.
Scan it.
Okay. So not only do you have that, but that's just the start of it. It's like what you said earlier. When you scan that vehicle, it pops up and it tells you a code. Well, people think, oh, well, let me just go ahead and throw whatever part that is. That's a starting place. So in addition to the scan tool, the updates, the security gateway to access.
Certain manufacturers are now require extra money to scan them.
Yeah, that's what I was getting after like the security gateways and things like that. We just got a letter right the other day. Well, I sent the newest one that we have out to have it diagnosed because we were having an issue with it. So it came back, and next thing I know, it tells me that we now have to pay for a Toyota, and all of these German-made
Toyota, Nissan, Volkswagen,
Audi, all of these different types of things to even access the vehicle, to even scan the vehicle. To give you guys a little insight on what we mean by scanning is we hook into your port that's underneath the dash or in a firewall or wherever, and if you got a check engine light or some kind of warning light that comes on your dash, well, then it gives us a pinpoint direction of where to go. Sometimes, I mean, we ran into it where we have a circuit code issue, to where now if you see circuit, that's a wiring issue. Well, then it walks you into a whole different other set of expenses that you got to pay for in the automotive industry. Yeah. You then have, ProDemand, Mitchell 1. You have All Data. You have whatever pinpoint test kind of programming or dealership type access to the wiring schematics to that vehicle. Well, then you got to dive in and pull up wiring schematics, or you got to pull up a pinpoint test that it walks you through this DTC of whatever that you need. Well, guess what? That software costs money too. Yep. And so they want to, and not saying all customers are like this, I promise you. This is maybe a handful of customers,
This is 10% of customers.
Yeah, and it's just a big pet peeve of mine, man. They think you buy it, it's free, and it's a simple, hey, let me plug it in, you tell me what's wrong with it real quick. That's just not how it works. It's just a starting place. And then you have all this money that's involved to pay for everything, to even be able to tell the customer what it is. And then they think they can have it for free. Yeah. And it just digs claws in my back,
Well, and another thing that drives me crazy, too, is certain shops, certain technicians, they will just scan it, and they'll be like, oh, this map sensor, this O2 sensor,
right?
It's saying it's bad, so that's what it needs. And it's like, well, what if, like, a mouse chewed the wiring going to it?
Right.
Or what if something has rubbed or frayed or is short in the ground, and you throw a new sensor on, and then what if your problem's still there? I mean, there's a lot more to checking it properly and diagnosing it properly than just, oh, well, that's what code popped up, so that's what it needs.
Yeah, I agree. I think if the more people that talk about these types of situations to make it more known on, media sites or listening in on a channel or whatever, can just have more clarity in a skilled profession. Of it's more than just, hey, let me tell you what's wrong with it real quick. I think that's what really separates the good people in certain industries versus someone like in our field, parts replacers, or are you an actual technician? And parts replacers, they're just going to throw a part at something because it shows them, hey, this is the beginning step. So it's guesswork is what it is. Or are you a technician? And you can say, hey, you know what? I can break this down for you. I can show you exactly why we're replacing this, because you go through the proper pinpoint testing, whatever it may be. I just think that it's, I don't know. I don't want to say that people are lazy, but I mean,
a lot of people probably are just not knowledgeable when it comes to proper testing. I mean, that's just the harsh truth about it, because a lot of these guys are not getting proper training because there's not, I mean, you know how it is. You can't find anybody with skill. So when you find somebody that just, they want it, you kind of pitch them in there, and then they get no real training. So then it's like, oh, they're just trying to survive. I've seen that as well.
Yeah. We just got to do better. I mean, we really do. I mean, I think guys such as ourselves that now have a little more experience under our belt, I think the automotive leaders, instead of throwing so many people to the wolves, how can we empower new technicians? How can we equip them with the proper things that they need to be successful, right? And that's part of it. If not, if we don't fix it, I mean, this is why so many skilled laborers and skilled industries are dying. I feel like because uh,
I think it starts with patience and understanding.
yeah,
Because I think too many people are just concentrated on where they're at. So if they're training somebody, or they compare themselves to them. So let's just say that you got a 38-year-old training a 22-year-old. And, let's just say the 38-year-old gets frustrated. Well, when I was your age, I was already doing this, this, and this. It's like, well, that's fine, but that's why you're training them.
right.
I think not enough people have the patience to properly train somebody.
Yeah, I really do. I think grace, it can go a long way.
They can.
Sometimes we have to, again, humility,
Yeah.
humble ourselves to remember, hey, you know what? At one point in time, we didn't know this.
No.
How did we figure it out? And is it a little bit of an old kind of type mentality of, well, I was thrown to the wolves, so I'm going to throw them to the wolves. Yeah, but it's different nowadays, man.
Yes.
You almost got to be an electrician to work on some of this stuff, dude. And you got to have some kind of smart means about yourself to how to do it. So it's giving them the proper training, giving them proper knowledge, and giving them a little grace, man.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, dude, and you know just as well as I know, I can be speaking this right to me because there's times where I get aggravated, at certain things, and it's like the other day we ran into a situation or incident, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let me back up a little bit. How can I know this technician is capable of doing their job. Where did we go wrong?
Yeah.
Was it a communication issue? Was it poor training? What was the issue? Because this dude is a cold hard killer rock star. He can be. And, and the frustration did get a little best of me. But then, again, it was where I had to humble myself and be like, you know what, Travis? What's wrong? How can we fix it? And I think we need a little more of that, kind of I think not just our industry, I mean, all over in the workforce. I think to where we have a little grace, we understand and realize that people need training, people need guidance, people need direction, and nobody's perfect, man. Nobody's perfect at all. So, what do you think another misconception could be in our industry? What do you think?
So, a lot of people, to me, the biggest misconception is people think that you're just trying to rip them off. And what do I mean by that?
Yeah.
They bring their car in, and they're like, hey, tell me what all's wrong with it. And then you hit them with a big laundry list, and they're shocked. 95% of people, and I don't know the exact statistic on this, but I'm positive 95% of the cars on the road are not properly maintained.
Oh, yeah, I would probably have to agree with you on that one, man.
So when somebody gets shocked and like, oh, well, they're just telling me I need all this because they're just trying to get my money. No, what we're trying to do, we're trying to get you and your vehicle back on the road safely.
Right.
So for a technician that cares, and don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people out there that give technicians, mechanics, shops, and dealerships a bad name because they're trying to get your money. Now, there are of those of us that actually care, so we feel bad if we see wires showing in your tires or we see excess play in your suspension to where it's like, hey, or your brakes are metal to metal, and you just think we're wanting your money. Well, you just want the oil change. It's like, that's fine, but if I let you leave here and you get in a wreck, people don't understand how that can be tied back to us. Well, it was just at the shop. Why didn't they tell them that we needed brakes? But that's where we do proper documentation and we document everything.
Oh, absolutely.
But if it's bad enough, we can't let the people leave until they sign a paper or like a waiver because we can't be responsible for that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're kind of living in this world where everybody's a little bit sue happy.
Yes.
And so, you kind of have to be like a doctor on a car, man. You got to cover all aspects and all bases of things. Because here's the thing. If I send my wife or my kid or if I whatever into this car, it is now a safety concern or a safety issue. If we see these things, and it's our duty That's the best word to put. Our duty to inform the customer. Now, the thing that's a little bit different about us what's than maybe some compared to some shops, and like I said, all shops are not like this. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is we give the customer the option. Hey, we present you the facts. We show you what's wrong with it, and it's up to you to fix it. I'm not going to breathe down your neck to try to upsell you anything. Why?
No, it's always totally up to them. And
Yeah.
I don't believe in being a pushy salesman. I think if you present the facts and if the customer has the means to invest or they're wanting to get their vehicle back to good shape, then they're going to do it. But a lot of people can't afford it at the time. Now, at our shop, a lot of people don't offer this, but we do have a 100-day same as cash option, and I think,
Yeah.
a lot of people could benefit from that. A lot of shops don't offer stuff like that, or if they do offer financing, it's straight high interest off the rip.
Oh, absolutely.
But I just think if you present people with the facts and just let them make up their own mind versus like just hounding them or trying to strong arm them or do the scare factor we like to call,
Yeah.
where it's like, hey, if you don't do this, it's going. I mean, it could be, but let the people make up their own mind because I think the automotive industry gets a bad rap because of pushy salesmen like that, or they try to sell too much stuff of. Does it really need all these flushes,
Yeah.
or are you just getting a kickback from all these flushes? And it's fine, and there's a time and place for flushes too. Flushes aren't a complete scam. There are time and places for like flushes. I've seen flushes work and fix things,
Right.
but
But if you
don't
got a
add.
30,000 mile vehicle in there, or not even mileage, let's say you got a 1-year-old vehicle in there and they're already telling you need a coolant flush in your system and you ain't got but maybe 10 or 12,000 miles on the vehicle or on the thing,
That's grimy.
man, you robbing the customer, dude. Like, let's be real about it. Let's do better. Our colleagues, like for real. I mean,
I know it's nice to get that kickback and stuff, but if they already need tires, ball joints, struts, you know, tie rod ends, alignment, brakes, don't come on the back side of that, which is already going to be a really big bill, and hit them with a brake flush, coolant flush, transmission flush, like power steering flush.
yeah,
That's where people are like, oh, scam, let's get out of here. Like,
yeah,
I think you can do too much as well. I mean, it's good to provide a list, but it's also nice to provide a list of, hey, this needs attention like now. This can wait a couple oil changes, and this is just what we recommend. I think presenting in steps like that with different price points of doing it this way, or this way, I think if you just give people options and truly let it be in their hands, like if they feel like they're in control of making the decision, I think that's the best way to go.
Well, Brian, and one other thing that I want to brush up on this subject here a little bit onto is if you're so good at what you do and you are confident and you have the knowledge and the know-how and the skills to do this job, you don't have to force it on anybody.
No.
Man. It's, and I'm going to walk into another misconception here in our industry, and it's based on our colleagues, man, in the profession that we're in. There's so many shops out there that are so worried or may not even be worried or want to compete and say, oh, were you going to steal the work from me? Or are you going to do this for me? Or are you going to do – man, look, we're in the field in transportation, Brian. It's not going away.
Everybody drives.
It doesn't matter if you're flying around in a hoverboard 20 years from now, there's still a means of transportation somehow. And there's going to be plenty of it out there. And my thing is if you are really good at what you do, there's nothing to worry about. Why do you got to be that grimy shop? Because if you're going in with the utmost, and my biggest thing when I talk like this is if you're the utmost integrity and honesty and you're presenting this to your customer and providing a good quality of service and good quality of work, they're going to come to you anyway.
Yeah.
And so like I wanted to make it to where there is like no competition because I want to be the best. I want to do the best. I want to treat people how people want to be treated. And if you do that, I mean, that's all people really want. You know what I mean? I mean, I want to feel comfortable enough going to a place that I can send my wife and not feel like that they're going to beat her up, say in a clothing store or on a car lot, for instance, to buy a new car or for wherever. It's like, hey, I want to take care of you with the utmost respect and honesty and let you make the decision and let my efforts show themselves of why we are the place you need to come to. And you know, unfortunately, there is several places out there that are not like that. And I don't know. I mean, what do you think about that, man?
So one thing you will never catch us doing at our shop, we will never talk bad about another shop. So say a customer comes in, they're frustrated about their experience at another shop, we will let them vent, but we never participate and give our opinion on that shop. We're just like, man, that's tough.
Absolutely not.
You know, I mean, I won't say a friend because I just kind of know the guy. But he's opened his own automotive and diesel shop, and he sent me a thing on Facebook earlier. Hey, like my page. Did I think negative thoughts or like, oh man, you know, another person coming to steal the work? No, I hope this guy is successful. I truly do.
Yeah.
And I give his page a like. I truly did because I'm with you. I think there's enough for everybody to go around. And that guy's going to have his own clientele just like we do. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think trying to bash each other or say, oh, this shop, they don't know what they're doing. Like, I just think I think it makes you look bad.
I do too. Not only does it make you look bad, I mean, it just, who would want to do business with somebody like that? You know? I mean, just negative or vindictive or whatever you may call it. But it goes back to if you're really good at what you do, man, you don't have to belittle other people to be successful. I just really hate that. You know, what I really appreciate is this past winter. You know, I think I told you the story. A shop had come to us, and you know, they said, Travis, how, like, and my respect went through the roof on that. They said, Travis, how are you all staying so busy in the wintertime? And, you know, I kind of gave them a few pointers and told them what we're doing. And I said, guys, this is why, you know. And they says, well, if there's anything that we can do to help you, please let us know. Well, look, there's plenty of work out there. And if they need help, I'm going to help them. You know, if I know that they're putting out a good quality and I'm able to recommend them for whatever service that they're providing, then I want to send one of my customers that way. I mean, there's so many work. Here's my thing. Like, we are really good at what we do, and I know that we are good at what we do. And if I guarantee that I can send this customer to help this other shop out, we're not going to lose them as a customer. You know, we might. I mean, and if we do, that's okay because there's going to be another one that comes behind them to kind of fill whatever hole that may be. It's just I'm confident and comfortable enough in us that we just honesty and integrity, man. I just know, and then not only that, but the quality that we try to give the people. Like, you know, I think people get treated so wrong. Not only in our industry and get belittled. Yeah, do I think that the automotive industry has kind of hurt our job description a little bit? Absolutely. But I just think the world in general, everybody's out to get somebody or hurt somebody or try to one-up somebody. And so now they carry that on themselves. And not saying that everybody does. Not saying that everybody does. But majority of the world nowadays, that's kind of how it is. It's. I mean, look in our county right now. I mean, we got a complaint page. Like, just for somebody to go on and complain about something. I mean, why?
Yeah.
What if you ever looked at it and it says blank county, which everybody that is watching this, as they're in their county now, they're going to know what we're talking about. But like an uplifting thing, like a praise.
We need a blank county compliment page.
Yeah, a compliment page.
Yes.
I think this one says discussion and complaint is what it is.
Yes.
And my thing is Why can't it be discussion and compliments? You know, it's so easy to see the bad, like, but what can we do to help? All right, it's bad, but what are you doing to maybe help that? Are
what
you? Yeah.
what drives me nuts is people will go through the same fast food restaurants and they will get their orders wrong time and time again, and they continue to go back and support that business. Small businesses can mess up one time, and we are human. Yes, we do mess up from time to time, and people never come back.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, it's like if you would just come in to me and say, hey, this is what it was, this other shop found this, man, tell me.
Yeah.
Instead of going to a complaint page or writing somebody a letter or whatever, because just come tell us, hey, you guys messed up.
Yeah.
And educate us a little bit on, show us proof. A lot of people will come in, they'll be like, oh, we had to have our another shop fix this, this, and this. It's like, well, show me the receipt of where you paid another shop to fix it, and then show me proof of failed parts. They can't ever do it.
Right.
And that's what makes it hard to believe. And I'm not saying we can't mess up, but it's like, come and show us proof and let us make it right. You can't call us or write some other company a letter and then expect us to make it right, because that's just not how it works. There's not enough proof for us to make it right.
Well, and even in the warranty side of things, that's not how it works. You got to have some kind of proof to show. Let's just say, for instance, we install a part, right? That part has a 3-year warranty on it. That part decides to fail, okay? Yeah, maybe it does fail. Maybe there was another part behind that caused that to fail. But at the end of the day, we can stand behind that, but the only way that we can stand behind that is if we have some kind of proof. It's just because you raise a stink and try to throw yourself at somebody doesn't mean that that's how the warranty process works. I mean, how things like that work, and this is another misconception as we'll talk about warranty work here, is if I go to the guy or the company or manufacturer that's backing the warranty of the part that we installed, and I just throw a big fit, they're going to laugh at me and probably never do business with us again. They're going to say, hey, Travis, or hey, Brian, hey, I understand that you have an issue with this part, but can you show us what went wrong with this part? Can you provide some type of evidence to where we can stand behind this warranty? If you're just telling me it failed and you have no proof of failure, or
you can't give us the old part back, or can't give fluid samples, say it's a transmission transfer case or rear diff.
Yeah.
If you can't give us a fluid sample, customers are like, oh, you don't need fluid samples. It's like, listen, I don't care if we get them or not, but I'm telling you, the person that we get the part from, they're asking for them. If we can't provide it, they're not warranting that part, whether you think we're just trying to feed you a line of bull or not.
Yeah, and now that we're talking about warranty work here too, is a lot of customers, consumers that walk into the automotive industry automatically thinks that, okay, let's say if it is, say we have a vehicle that comes in and we installed a part on this vehicle. Let's say we installed, we're going to hypothetically speak here, we install an engine on a vehicle. Well, let's just say that engine decides to fail and lock up because some kind of internal issue happens with this motor. All right, we present the facts to the warranty company. We present everything to them. We show them all the data they need, and they say, all right, Two Brothers Garage, we're going to send you a brand new engine because it fails. A lot of customers or consumers think that they automatically send a full labor check for our labor's efforts to install this engine too. That does not happen, guys.
No, it does not. And to put into perspective of how bad the labor side is, so at Two Brothers, and we tell everybody this straight up, we're like, hey, this part is under warranty, the labor's not. And here's why, guys. So, and I won't mention the company, we got an injector a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was bad, right? Well, to replace said injector is about 4 to 5 hours of labor to get to the injector. So, put it back together, injector's bad, right? So, this company Oh, they give us a new injector, right? Yes, absolutely. What do you think they cut us a check for labor? I'll let you comment down some guesses down below real quick, but I'll tell you what it was. So you got 4 to 6 hours of time, right? And our shop labor, I don't even care to say it on here. It's 125 an hour, right? So
Yeah, so let's just
yeah,
show them real quick with an example. I'll pull up this screencast. So we'll take 125 times. I'm pretty sure you're right. It was 6 hours of labor to replace
yes,
it because you have to. It's a Huey system. So um, if you look here, there's your total estimate.
seven
700.
hundred and $50,
That
right?
that's right.
Okay, what do you think the company sent us to tear it back down and replace that injector that they sent was a bad injector? I'll tell you, $75
That's right.
is all we got.
And so, Brian, what I want to do for now that we're talking about this is, what did we do for that certain customer as well? We didn't charge them a dime, did we?
Didn't.
No.
We didn't. So we spent another 6 hours of our own time, no extra charge to the customer. Wasn't our fault that that injector was bad. It was the manufacturer we got it from. But just because we're stand-up guys and we truly try to help people out, there's no way I could have called this guy and said, "Hey man, we got a bad injector. Yeah, it's under warranty, but hey man, your labor's going from 6 hours to 12 hours." It's not the customer's fault. It's not our fault. But should we charge the customer again? I'm sure some shops would. But man, we just can't do it. We won't do it.
No, we can't. Now, in turn, I wanna speak this. If we're 6 months in after replacing a part, right, and this is not, we install it currently while it's in their shop, and we notice that, hey, this is a bad part. So now it's sad that we have to get a new part and we actually have to pre-test that part before we install it. That's something that we're probably just going to have to put in play because manufacturers just don't make parts like how they used to anymore, like how they should.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing, too. You get a part, you get whatever. And it's 6 months down the road, you install this new part or remanufactured part, whatever it may be. And the customer comes back and they're complaining due to an issue. Well, at that point, we don't know if they caused an issue or they were doing something to cause this issue to make the part fail. We don't know if it's just a part failure. We don't know any of that type stuff. But once it leaves our shop, it's, every situation is a little bit different. But if we continue to just eat the labor on everything of that, there's no money to be made at all. Now, is there a fix to that? Unfortunately, I think the quality of parts just isn't what they used to be anymore. And so that's why now being a reputable shop, to like how we are on ourselves, is we got to, man, I tell you what, I kind of steer away from a lot of aftermarket stuff now. And I think that's what we've discussed and we've talked about, because we have to kind of stick to OE manufacturer. And even then, they can't even guarantee if the part's going to be good whenever you get it.
Yeah.
And so then we're at a catch-22. We're like, okay, so we have a part failure. It's 6 months in, but you may already have 14 or 15,000 miles on this X amount of part. Okay, is it the way that the customer drives? Is there another issue that's making this part fail? Whatever it may be. And then we have a customer that comes in and they get super aggravated if you can't, because you can't warranty the labor on that. Well, the manufacturer, it's just like what we just talked about. They're going to send you $75 to $100, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then at that point, like, that's why it's so hard to say, yep, I'll sell you a warranty with labor and everything involved. Well, now that's where we have to be upfront with the customer and say,
Parts only.
yeah, parts only. We can't. It's just one of those things. If not, guys, look, if I did that on every job, we'd go under. Because then now you got a technician that went and jumped on this job, and they're pouring 6 to 10 hours of whatever it may be into this job, and we're not making a dime off of it, but the technician is costing me X amount per hour or X amount per bonus plus per hour. And then you're in the hole. And so
And to be upfront, our technicians are hourly. They are not flat rate. They're not commission based. They are hourly with quarterly bonuses.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not they don't go and make, let's and by what Brian means on flat rate is for you guys that don't know, is say that job comes in and it calls for 10 hours, right? Well, the flat rate, and tell me if I'm saying this right or not, but anyway, so basically it comes in. Let's just say they agree, the shop that they work for or dealership that they work for agrees to pay them at a $30 an hour flat rate for this job. Well, if that job then calls for 12 hours of labor, but then they get a flat rate of, and then, or I'm sorry, they get the job done in 3 hours. Well, they still get that $30 per hour on those 12 hours. And then understand too that when they don't have a vehicle or anything in their bay, they're not making any money.
Or they make a very small guarantee
Yeah.
that is equivalent to minimum wage.
Yeah, and so that's one thing in our industry in the independent shop, which we try to make it nice for individuals, is you make an hourly rate. I think one that's if you wanted to go back into why the automotive or automotive industry and skilled field is dying, it's because of that's one thing is flat rate. Nobody wants to pay you exactly for your time. You want to go in and spend all this. They expect you to spend several $1,000s in tools. They expect you to have all this type of experience. They expect you to do all of these different types of things.
And they're 40 to 50 hours a week, and then you get your paycheck, and it's for 15 to 20 hours.
Yeah, man, I don't know. To me, we can do better in our industry when it comes to that, and that's why we pay the way that we do. That's one reason why our labor rate's a bit higher than what it is, and not only just to pay our technicians a reasonable salary or hourly rate, but I mean just based off the quality that we do. I know there's going to be some people on there that's going to say they may not agree with our warranty, or how we handle labor or something like that. But it's just you gotta have that line somewhere. You gotta draw it in the sand somewhere. And if you don't draw that line in the sand, and you set boundaries for certain things, man, it can eat you alive.
Well,
and next thing you know, you're going under.
Yeah, I mean, and as long as you're honest and upfront. So every job I sell somebody, I tell them, hey, the parts, they have X number of warranty. Now listen, if they fail, labor's not covered. It's just something as long as you're honest and upfront with people, and there's nothing that they can be upset about.
So Brian, let's walk into this kind of last misconception that I think we've kind of discussed a little bit about. You said you had one more before we close, so let's walk into that last misconception before we get too off and dive into the deep end of things. So go ahead and tell me what that misconception you believe is.
So a lot of people, they get upset when I tell them that we don't do certain things. Like, well, what do you mean it's easy? Like, and one thing, and I'll give a couple examples. We don't rebuild differentials because cost comparison, it's cheaper and better to get a newer, gently used one with a warranty.
Well, not only that, I mean, you got an issue too to where we're looking at, let's say the differential, and this goes with several other things too.
Yes.
Let's just say that differential decides to fail on you, right? Well, it sends metal shavings through the whole thing. Not only all right, what caused the metal shavings? What caused the wear? Let's just say the pinion and ring gear or whatever, has gone out. And now, are you going to get all completely metal shavings out of the rear axle bearings? Are you going to get all the metal shavings out? No, you're basically you're going to have to strip that whole differential housing all the way down. And nowadays, I mean, a lot of differential housings out there are about like transmissions. They have clutch packs that are in the back of them. Not all of them, but certain ones do. And then so you're you're in hopes that whenever you do clean the whole housing out, that you did get all the metal shavings out, or are you going to still have a little bit left in it, maybe in a tube that you didn't see, or whatever. I mean, we just don't specialize in rebuilding those because too much risk for reward and too much time that's involved for the money that we could turn and generate basically out of a bay or out of a certain job. Let's just say it takes us. Let's say it takes you, and I'm just throwing a number out there. I know the guys in the automotive industry are probably going to be like freak when I say this, but let's just say it takes you 24 hours to rebuild one or do one, and I know that's probably wrong, but I'm just throwing a number out there. But let's just say it takes you that long. Well, then it's also holding your bay up for that long. How much more money can you turn in those 24 hours in rebuilding that rear end versus how many people you've got flowing through that bay? So you got to draw that line to where you just don't do that type of stuff. But go ahead and walk back into that misconception, Brian. Sorry.
So I mean, head gaskets, for instance, people are baffled when they call and say, "Hey, do you do head gaskets?" No, we do not. Well, why not? Do you just not know how to do it? No, it's not that. It's the you take an engine, and most time when a head gasket goes, it's 180,000 miles or more, give or take.
Typically, and now this is with certain
Yes.
exceptions. Yeah.
So you got somebody bringing you a car with almost 200,000 miles on it. They want you to just do head gaskets. Well, to just do head gaskets, you have to remove the heads. You have to make sure the heads ain't warped. You got to hope and pray the block ain't warped or cracked. And then you got to send the heads off to a machine shop. Well, most machine shops are out three weeks to up to 6 months, depending on who you call. So that's tying your bay
and
up
how
for
good
that
they
long.
are. Yeah.
And then so that ties your bay up from stuff moving in and out of that particular bay. And then let's just say you get the heads back and everything goes smooth and everything goes good. Well, now you got that strong top end on that weak bottom end. So what's going to happen 3 to 4 months down the road, or maybe sooner, maybe a little bit later? Rod's going to go through the block, and then guess what? Customer is still unhappy, and they're not satisfied. So what's an easier cost comparison to do? Hey, just get a new engine. You get a 3-year,
remand or use low mileage or whatever it may be, but just kind of we want to help you spend your money wisely in an utmost honest and utmost integrity way. Like when we recommend something or if we deny a service or if we do, it's not because we don't want to do it. It's not because we dislike you. It's not because any of that. It's just that we're really looking out for you. We're looking out for the best interest in that. Now, is there other guys that will do that? Sure, I'm sure there will, but we just, what we tell customers is this, maybe we're just not the right shop for you for that.
Right.
At that point. And the reason being is we have a certain uphold quality that we provide for the shop. And I just, me and Brian both feel the same way. We just don't want to lose that type of quality. It just creates a hole there that can happen.
It just goes back to we really value your time and your budget. We don't want you throwing money away. Like, I, in good faith, cannot put head gaskets on a 200,000-mile car because I know what's going to happen. Yeah, sure, I could do it, take your money, but is it the right thing to do? Or for a little bit more, you could get a new engine with warranty, and then you don't have to go down that road. But a lot of people can walk away, and they can go find somebody that'll do head gaskets. And guys, I'm not saying every head gasket job is unsuccessful. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying the risk versus reward.
Absolutely,
it's not worth it to me.
No, and it's not worth it to me either. I really don't think so, Brian. I mean, it's just one of these things to where, we've been in the industry long enough. We've seen the ins and outs of things, and like I said, you're also tying that bay up for that long. That means as long as that bay is getting tied up at doing the bigger end job, the high, the head gaskets and all of those types of things, not only are you risk versus reward, but you're also losing money on the back end and cash flow in your shop that you could be producing other thing. And I'm not saying that head gasket jobs are less amount important or there's no money to be made, or we don't want to take care of anybody. It's just it doesn't make sense for us for the quality, risk versus reward on that. Well, brother, I'll tell you what, man. We'll probably go ahead and wrap things up tonight. It was a super awesome pleasure to have you on season 1, episode 1. I'm sure we're gonna have you back, dude.
We're gonna have to have part 2. Real quick before we go, and we don't even have to discuss this. People, you do not drive a Denali. You got a Sierra, Yukon, Terrain, Acadia. Denali's a trim package. People that drive a Denali, they're so proud, but please tell me what you drive. Yukon, Sierra, Acadia, Terrain. It gets confusing trying to talk to you on the phone.
Has that been bothering you that long that now even on the podcast you have to make it known too?
I have to, man. So people really think they drive a Denali. They really do. And I'm not knocking you if you think that. I know it says it in big, beautiful letters on the side, but it's just a trim package, people. And I know you love that Denali. You're proud you got that high trim package. I would be too. But at the end of the day, it's a Sierra, Yukon, Terrain, Acadia. It's one of those. They make Denali's in all of those. So when you just say Denali, it just gets confusing when I'm trying to book your appointment because I need to know what we're expecting and what parts I need to be looking for.
So if you guys know how to get underneath Brian's skin, when you see us launch this, man, I tell you what, I want you to call him tomorrow morning on Tuesday. And I want you to call him with all your issues and tell him that you got a Denali. And be persistent in it and don't tell him anything different other than you have a Denali. That's probably, I bet that's your number one pet peeve in the automotive industry.
I think it is.
Well, Brian, man, it's so good to have you on the show, brother. We're going to leave out on a high note. Like I said, hear a little bit of Blue Collar Man with Travis Tritt. Brian, man, it has been such a pleasure. If you all want to join in on the show, please reach out to us at blueclock.podtalk@outlook.com. Comment down below or send us a private message. We would love to have you on the show. I would love to have another co-host. And it doesn't have to be about the automotive industry. Be a community leader. It can be a business owner. It can be a pastor. It can be anything like that. But I'll tell you what, I'm not going to take up any more of Brian's time, brother. It is so good to have you on the show. I'm so glad you're part of it. And, man, everybody out on the show, holler at us. Would love to hear what you thought about tonight, what we discussed. I mean, we talked about things, man, from business development to our personal lives to the automotive industry. I mean, it kind of went all in a far left direction for a minute, but, man, it was a whole lot of fun.